They said he was arrogant. They said he was loud. They said he was unbeatable. But what they didn't say, at least not until it was too late, is that Floyd Mayweather was quietly building one of the most brilliant business models in sports history. He didn't just box, he owned the ring, he owned the broadcast, and most importantly, he owned the money. No major sponsors, no brand endorsements, no corporate manager pulling the strings, just a man, a mindset, and a plan. Floyd Mayweather didn't become a billionaire by chance. He became one by design. Let's take it back to the beginning. Grand Rapids, Michigan. Floyd was born into boxing. His father was a fighter. His uncles were champions. But his childhood wasn't lined with luxury. It was hard. Small home, one bedroom, no fancy meals. His mother battled addiction. His father spent time in prison. Violence and survival shaped his early world. Most people crumble in that kind of environment. Floyd trained. As a child, he'd shadowbox on sidewalks, punch through pain, and run miles with no shoes. He wasn't just practicing, he was preparing, not just for fame, but for control. He became a professional fighter in 1996. Fast hands, sharp reflexes, laser focus. But early in his career, like most boxers, he was tied to promoters. He was getting paid, but not nearly what he was worth. He noticed something. While he was sweating in the ring, someone else was cashing bigger checks outside it. That's when the shift happened. Floyd started asking questions. Who owns the promotion? Who negotiates the broadcast rights? Who decides the split between networks, fighters, and managers? And the more he asked, the more he realized he was the talent, but not the boss. In 2006, he made a decision that would change everything. He paid $750,000 to buy himself out of his contract with Top Rank, one of boxing's biggest promoters. Most people thought he was out of his mind. That's nearly $1 million just to be free. But Floyd saw what they didn't. That one move gave him complete independence. No more promoter, no more middlemen. From that point on, every fight would be his fight. He created Mayweather Promotions and began handling his own career. He controlled the purse splits, the venues, the production, the promotion. And with that control came money, big money. His fight with Oscar De La Hoya in 2007 broke records. $25 million for one night of work. But that was just the start. Then came Ricky Hatton, then Shane Mosley, then Miguel Cotto, and finally, the massive fight with Manny Pacquiao. $100 million, $200 million, then came McGregor. $300 million in a single event. By 2018, Forbes declared Floyd Mayweather the highest paid athlete of the decade. Not because he had the most fans, not because he had the most sponsors, but because he built the smartest system. While other athletes relied on agents and brands to bring in revenue, Floyd became the brand. He sold out arenas, ran his own promotions, managed his media rights, and kept the lion's share of every dollar made. That's the blueprint, and what's more impressive, he did it without playing by the rules. No team, no franchise, no endorsements. He wore what he wanted, said what he wanted, fought who he wanted. People criticized him for flaunting his wealth, the cars, the watches, the planes. But here's what they missed. Behind the flex, there was focus. Behind the flash, there was structure. Floyd owns multiple properties across the United States. Strip malls, skyscrapers, luxury real estate. He buys buildings in cash. He owns gyms, merchandise lines, and even tech investments. When he flies on private jets, it's not a rental, it's owned. When he talks about wealth, he talks about ownership, not just income. So what are the lessons here? How did Floyd go from being a paycheck-to-paycheck athlete to $1 billion empire? First, he bet on himself. Most fighters wait for someone to discover them. Floyd walked away from a big promoter and took the risk of running his own business. That risk paid off tenfold. Second, he stayed independent. He didn't give away slices of his income to managers and agents. He learned the game himself. He read contracts, sat in negotiations, knew the numbers. Third, he turned his name into a brand. The phrase Money Mayweather wasn't just marketing. It was a mindset. He made fans want to watch, whether they loved him or hated him. Either way, they paid. Fourth, he controlled the product. He wasn't just a boxer. He was the producer, the event host, the executive. Every Mayweather fight was a Mayweather production, and that meant more revenue stayed in his pocket. Fifth, he diversified. Boxing was the engine, but real estate, merchandise, and media were the fuel that kept the empire growing long after the final bell. Now let's be clear, Floyd isn't perfect. He's had legal troubles. He's made mistakes. But in the world of business, his approach is almost flawless. He understood something most people miss. Income is fragile. Ownership is freedom. He could have taken the easy road. Sign with a promoter, land a few sponsors, and retire comfortably. But he didn't want comfort. He wanted control. And that brings us to you. What are you building that you own? What part of your income is truly yours? How are you turning your skills into systems? Floyd's blueprint isn't about boxing. It's about belief. It's about taking risk when others settle. It's about thinking like a business, not just a worker. So next time someone tells you to play it safe, remember Floyd Mayweather. He walked away from guaranteed money, took control of his career, and built a billion-dollar business. Not by being lucky, but by being bold. The real question isn't whether you can be like Floyd. The question is, are you willing to bet on yourself the way he did? Now tell me, which lesson hits you the hardest? Comment below. Subscribe for more billionaire blueprints and strategies that you can use right now. Because the next empire we break down might just change your future.